This is a story that came out in the Washington Post, February 27th, 2018. Arming teachers would put Black and Latino kids in danger, which I believe is true because too many of these damn teachers are unstable and not stable enough to be having guns. You know what? I think back on all the years I was in school. I don't think I had one teacher I would have trusted with a gun. Not one. For students of color, guns in classrooms could be deadly. Yeah, because all you need is an unbalanced teacher going on a racist rant, and then next thing you know, they'll be using all the same lame bullshit you hear from the cops. I feared for my life. The student lunged at me. The student reached for their waistband. I was scared. That's what you're going to get when you arm these teachers. You're going to hear they're going to be mimicking the cops. Trump wants to arm teachers to prevent or reduce the carnage from future school shootings, like the one in Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida, this month. A teacher would have shot the hell out of him before he knew what had happened, Trump said last week after the attacker in Florida. He's not the only one who thinks this is a good idea. I don't think it's a good idea. I tell you what, Black parents, the day they arm these white teachers and your Black child is in that class, get all of your Black kids out of the school system, period. I'm serious. If you don't want your kid to wound up dead, get your kids out of this school system now. Okay. Several states are already considering legislation to allow guns to be carried into schools, ostensibly to protect children. But putting guns into the hands of school teachers would be extraordinarily dangerous for Black and Latino students who are already often forced to try to learn in hostile environments where they're treated as threats. I agree with that. How long would it be if Trump's plan became reality before a teacher shoots a Black student and then invokes the "I feared for my life"? That's exactly what I'm saying. Defense, we continually hear from police officers who misinterpret young Black people's behavior with deadly consequences. A mountain of data on persistent racial bias and disparities in education and on police presence in school, as well as a recent increase in racial harassment in schools, makes it clear that kids of color won't be safe if their teachers are carrying weapons. I agree with that. Those children are the ones who always feel the brunt of policing inside and outside of schools. Most high profile mass shootings have been committed by white men, but metal detectors, school police, and armed guards are disproportionately placed in public schools with majority Black and other non white students, along with locked gates, random sweeps, and a host of other surveillance and security measures to maintain control in their schools. Research shows that such practices foster hostile environments and have contributed to racial disparities in school suspensions. That's true. Expulsions and arrests, leading to the school to prison pipeline. By pushing more students of color out of school and into the juvenile justice system. And that's been happening for decades. One report last year found that schools resource officers who especially function as law enforcement personnel are more likely to deploy on campus with large numbers of Black students. A 2014 Department of Education publication reported that Black students were disproportionately likely to be referred to school resource officers or arrested. They made up to 16% of total enrollment, but 27% of students referred to resource officers and 31% of students arrested in school-related matters. White students, who were 51% of the total, accounted for only 41% of resource officer referrals and 39% of arrests. Another study that implicit bias on the part of teachers often means young Black males in school are seen as irresponsible, dishonest, and dangerous. See, this is why Black children don't need to be in classrooms with white students or teachers. Because number one, they gonna lie on your Black child. Number two, they gonna overreact to everything a Black child does. But if a white child does the same exact thing, they don't see that as an issue. It's not a threat. See, you're taking a chance by letting your Black child go to school in the first place. But when they arm these teachers, I'm telling you right now, get ready for the dead Black bodies to start cropping up all over the country, with altercations between the teacher and the student and a Black student. And then all of a sudden the teacher pulls the gun and shoots the child. I'm telling you, if you can't trust these people as police carrying guns, you're going to trust a teacher carrying a gun around your Black children? Are you... I'm sorry, Black parents. When they start arming teachers, you need to get your kids out. I promise you, there's going to be dead Black children going on all across the country. And you know what white people are going to do? React to it the same way they react to these cops killing us, unarmed. It's going to be the same way. They didn't cooperate. The police, man, they want to go home to their families and all that. They're going to be talking all that same garbage all over again. Considering that 4 of every 5 teachers in the U.S. public schools are white, there's ample reason to worry about how that bias would play out with guns involved. I'm telling you, it's a huge mistake. I tell you what, I don't have my son. My son is homeschooled. I tell you what, if he was in public school and they start giving guns to white teachers and Black students are in that building, all I can say is my son wouldn't be in no public school anymore. I'm sorry. Already we have a disturbing number of examples of white teachers mistreating Black students. For example, Patricia Cummings, a middle school teacher in the Bronx borough of New York, made her 7th grade students lie on the floor while she stepped on one student's back to illustrate the trauma of the Middle Passage of slave trade during Black History Month. And not to mention all the ones that go into a racist rant in the classroom. If they had a gun, yeah, they would kill your kid and would turn around, Like I said, and talk all that, I feared for my life. They lunged at me. They touched their waistband and all that nonsense that we always hear. White teachers and school officers have cut off black students' hair and have been accused of cutting the hoods off of their jackets, slapped them, berated them with N words, tackled and throw them across the classroom, and allegedly snatched them out of their seats violently for not standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Some teachers have been fired for posting racist rants on social media. Maybe that's no surprise, though. A 2016 study in Denver public schools found that many teachers, especially young white women, are afraid of their black students. Now, see, that'll be another reason. I was scared. I was scared. He scared me. And just like you see the cops getting off in court, when these teachers shoot your child, black parents, they going to get off in court. They going to have all of this in place before those guns even make it into the classroom, to do everything to make sure no teacher goes to jail for killing your black student, your black child. That's exactly what's going to happen. And they're going to set this whole thing up and have the system all rigged up so no teacher will go to jail for killing a black student. The ball is already in motion. Okay, the report also found that white students are punished differently from their black counterparts for the same offenses. I've seen that even when I was in school. I saw that even when I was in school, y'all. I remember when I was in the 5th grade, we had a teacher. Oh, I hated this teacher. I hated her. If a black student talked back to her, she called your parents and got all on the phone with the parents. Those white students in the class, I kid you not, used to cuss at her. You know what she did to them? She gave them time out to think about what they've done and come back and apologize. And when they did, she didn't make no phone call to a parent. She was way different with the white students than she was with the black. And I kid you not, they used to cuss her out, call her a bitch and everything. She didn't jump up talking about, I'm going to call your parents. She only did that to the black students. And I remember it. Anyway, back to this. In one example, a white student deemed bored in class threw chairs around the classroom and was promoted to a higher math class, while a black student was suspended for simply balling his fist. So throwing a chair did not scare the white teacher. Balling a fist scared the white teacher. See, this is what I'm talking about. No, I'm not in agreements with these kind of teachers having access to guns. I mean, and can you imagine, even if let's say they had some of the faculty with guns, right? Can you imagine the ones that go take a gun from somebody's class just to go and kill your kid? Or a student going into the teacher's drawer to get the gun and shooting other kids with it. Yeah, these psychotic kids would do that. So, with good reason, Black and Latino students and their parents would probably see arming teachers as a threat. Even though the idea is supposed to be protecting kids, that would make it even harder than it already is to establish trust across racial lines in the classroom. Well, that ain't going to happen. No wonder teachers are already vehemently against Trump's plan. I fear my little alternative high school of 100 students and 50 teachers will turn into an armed prison camp, said Joe Leb, an education consultant and activist who teaches at the Alternative Center for Excellence in Danbury, Connecticut, located just 5 minutes from Sandy Hook Elementary School. By playing into his armed teacher agenda, we are setting up our at-risk students, especially our Black and brown students, as targets for the pipeline, as well as actual physical targets of teachers' bullets. And it's insanity driven by greed, prejudice, and privilege. In many cases, little cultural nuisance in Black kids are often foreign to white teachers. Black assertiveness is seen as Black hostility to white teachers. It's seen as hostility to white YouTubers, too. Black assertiveness is seen as Black hostility to white teachers. No, that should be Black assertiveness is seen as hostility to all white people, as opposed to teachers recognizing that it is a strength in the Black student. I fear that when Black students stand up for themselves, white teachers will intercept that as the students attacking them. Davis also feared that any Black or Latino teachers who carry weapons to protect students would wind up being shot by the police during an active shooter crisis in their school. Yep, they would. If they would be out in the hallway when the cops entered, the cops would assume they are the gunmen and start shooting them. I agree with that. Teachers know that what they really need to transform in their classroom and schools into places of empowerment and not guns. And I agree with that. On Twitter, they use the hashtag #ArmMeWith hashtag to list more important priorities: smaller schools, improved textbooks, adequate supplies, more resources for students with challenges. My biggest fear and disappointment is that I think many students and families of color would simply opt out of public education if arming teachers were to be enacted. And I agree, that should happen. I kid you not, y'all, and I say this again, the moment they say arm these white teachers and you got Black students in that school, I urge all parents to get your kids out of that school immediately. Get them out. Because I'm telling you, they got the same thing you hear the cops saying all the time when they shoot unarmed Black people. The teachers are going to be doing the same goddamn thing. You can count on it. Okay. The fear would be absolute, legitimate, and disengagement would further divide us so much further. It would lead to a setback like never before in movements for civil rights and human rights. And you could best believe it's going to be a lot of human rights violations going on if you arm these teachers. As long as racism is alive and well, I would not trust my kid in any school with a white teacher with a gun. I'm sorry. No. Well, okay, we already seen how white people with guns react to Black people in the form of police officers in the U.S. There ain't no way I would let you have that leverage over my kid where you got a weapon and they don't have one to fight you back. No, I'm sorry. No, not only no, hell to the damn no. Please tell me what you think, ladies and gentlemen. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell twice. And also join me on Black Junction TV and blackspot.com. Peace, family.